Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell them. Look, I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. How to code, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with another topic session of the Success Chronicles. And as you see, I have 4 guys with me, the Ogunyemi Brothers. Man, just an awesome family, awesome group of men that are doing some awesome things. Well, I said awesome about 10 times, didn't I? That's how awesome they are. You know, man, I told them off air, I've, since I connected with these guys, I've truly been looking forward to, getting them all together and just talking life. And today we're going to talk tips on how to raise successful kids. They are all involved in some great things, have achieved some great things, and just kind of, attribute to, their parents and, where they come from and the people that they've been blessed and fortunate to be raised by. And so that's kind of our motive, our topic, our means for today. So first, let's go through and each of you guys can tell, your ages, if you don't mind. Name and ages.
I'm Dr. Clement Ogunyemi, age 31.
All right. Luke?
That couldn't have been more awkward. But I'm Joshua Ogunyemi.
Okay.
And I'm 30.
There you go.
Hey, I'm Olalu Ogunyemi. I'm 28.
Dan?
And I'm Daniel Ogunyemi, and I'm 23.
All right. Well, Josh, you want to do the honors? I know you said you told us off air you were the glue that held them all together.
Yeah.
You want to do the honors? Hey, look at that Doc over there. He got his lips up at you like. You want to do the honors? Kind of tell the audience where you guys are from.
Yeah. So we grew up in a small town, Ruston, Louisiana. It's northeast Louisiana. It's positioned between Shreveport and Monroe, if you're familiar. Not very much there. We started off actually in Grambling and moved into the Ruston area, very rural. As a matter of fact, when we first moved there, it was very wooded forest area and cleared it, dirt roads, all that good stuff. You can probably imagine. And it's even funny to think about sometimes. But yeah, that's where we came from. Both our parents in the home. We have 2 older sisters as well that grew up with us and helped to raise us. So I guess that's kind of the long and short of from small town Ruston, Louisiana, in the backwoods, dirt roads to today.
Okay, good deal. So let's start with you, Cap. What I would like to do is just have each of you guys, just kind of talk about what you are involved in, currently, so the audience can kind of get an idea of what you do and who you are. So, Cap, Lou, we'll start with you first.
All righty. Yeah, I'm a captain of the United States Marine Corps. I'm a company commander, and it's something I enjoy doing. Company commander at Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego. So boot camp for those who don't know what that is. And I have about currently I have about 500 recruits and about 30 or so drill instructors and officers that I oversee.
So, all right, Josh, what about yourself?
I've spent most of my time in customer service and sales. So Currently, I'm a sales manager for the Jefferson Convention and Visitors Bureau, where I attract groups and events to the greater New Orleans area.
Sweet. All right, Doc.
So currently, well, let me not say currently, all I do is finance. I love finance and accounting. So I teach finance and accounting. I also teach financial literacy. I put on seminars, and I also presented seminars on financial independence, financial literacy, debt freedom. And I'm also the owner and chief operator of 4Q Financial, which is my consulting firm where I do bookkeeping for organizations as well as financial planning.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Dan, what about you?
I'm a philanthropist, man. I work in human services, currently work for an organization called CASA, which stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate, as a volunteer coordinator, where I recruit, train, and supervise volunteers to advocate for children in foster care.
That's awesome. So as you can see, audience, like I said, amazing guys doing amazing things. And we all know that, you know, to achieve amazing things in your life, you have to be taught some amazing things, you know, and so those things don't just happen. And so if you guys can just kind of talk about, you know, some of the things great things that you learned in your life growing up, you know, with your family, and give them an idea about your parents too. I mean, I know some things, but if you don't mind, you know, kind of talking about your parents and kind of how they raised you guys.
Okay. I'll start out since I'm the eldest of the four of us. And I don't know if you can tell. I don't know if you can tell, but every time my little brothers talk, I can't help but smile because I'm super proud of them. You know, everything they've accomplished. I've never had to bail any of them out of jail. You know, I've never had to get a phone call that they're doing anything other than great things. So you know, every time they talk or every time I get a chance to talk about them, I do. And I'm gleaming with pride because I feel like I did have a hand in raising them. But anyway, back to your question.
And I don't want to cut you off, but not only did I see that in you, but I saw that from each one. You know, when Dan's talking, Lou's like, yeah, you know, like, yeah, you know. So it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. So I think one of the things that in raising us, we did have, as Joshua stated, we did have both parents in our home, which was a huge thing for us, especially in our community. A lot of my friends, I found out later on in life, were envious of that. You know, they said, we really wanted what y'all had. You know, we would always look at the materialistic things that they had and say, man, we wish we had what they had. You know, we wish all the girls like this, but little did we know they wanted our lifestyle. You know, they said, we wish we had our dad in our home. We wish, you know, our parents cared this much about us, you know, not knocking their parents or anything. But I can recall not being able to bring home a C in any class. You know, if we brought home a C, it was a problem. It didn't matter what the class was, you know, but our parents demanded perfection. Growing up, you know, I thought about running away at one time because I said, this is crazy. I said, this cannot be life. All my friends seem so laid back, and I bring home a B- and my dad would flip. You know, he'd say, you know, no, this is unacceptable. I'd bring home a 98 and he'd say, oh, it can be 100. And I'm like, this guy is crazy. Like, this is an A. Everybody else scored an F and I got a 98. And he said, well, it could be 100. You know, and looking back, now that I have my own sons, I'm like, wow, I see where he was going with this. Extreme, maybe, but I see where he was going. He was trying to mold me into a man, you know, understanding that eventually I would become a man. Now, I might have been a boy at the time, but eventually, you know, I would become a man that he didn't have to come visit in jail. You know, I'd become a man that he can be proud of, because anytime I've listened to him talk about, you know, his children, and, you know, it's insane because he just brags. He'll go on and on. I'm like, oh, here he goes. But, you know, he did give us that solid foundation, that discipline that we needed. You know, hey, before you go outside to play ball, you're going to do your work. You're going to read a book. As you can see, these books behind me, this is where we grew up, by the way. We had encyclopedias. Literally, they're all around me. We never read all of them. We never read any of them, actually. but you know, they did a good job surrounding us with positive things and positive reinforcement. You know, hey, reading is fundamental. And now it's so strange how things come full circle, because now I find myself in Barnes and Noble, whereas growing up I hated it, and I say, oh man, we got to read again, we have to read again. But now I understand, it's the fundamentals, it's that discipline, it's understanding that, hey, most things you need to know probably can be found in a book. And now they make it in 2018, they make it so easy. They have audio books. They made it easy to read a lot of the stuff that we need to understand. Exactly. A lot of the things that we need to understand, they've put in these easy to read books with nice, colorful, big, bright pictures that help us understand anything we need to know. And I think those, and I'll let my brothers kind of tell what, we've endured or what we've seen growing up. But those are two of the things that I think really helped us, the demand for perfection. And that's with both parents. My mom was the same way. A little tidbit of information, our elementary school was literally across a field from where my dad worked. So we knew anytime we stepped out of line, we could look out the window and he was walking across that field. And my dad's only about 5 foot, what would you say, 5'7"-ish, 5'6". So he's a little guy, but he was very intimidating. Very intimidating. We see him come across that field, and we were like, oh boy, here we go. And we can guarantee if any one of us got in trouble, he was going to visit each one of the classrooms to make sure that we were in line. So, a lot of people knew our parents because they would be at the school demanding perfection. If we had a B in English, especially, that part would drive my poor mom up a wall, because she would say, how do you have a B in English? That's the only language you know. And I'm like, well, mother, it's not just about language. It's about, some of this stuff doesn't make sense to me, but, both of them would demand. And to this day, they're a lot more laid back, but I understand where they were going. They wanted to get us to the point where we're not complacent and where we're not just saying, okay, well, I'll settle with, I made a B or I made a 98. I'm okay with that. No, shoot for 100, shoot for, the top. I always want to be on top. It's made us competitive in sports. If you ask anybody about us, they hate to see us play basketball together, because we're going to argue for the next, 3 hours, whether on the same team or not. We're going to argue because we're all competitors and we all demand that same perfection, the entire time. And poor Dan, because he got the worst of it, because we still demand perfection from him because he's the baby. And he's a little spoiled, but we still demand that same level of perfection from him that our parents have instilled in us.
That's awesome. As you were saying those things, it kind of made me reflect on the way I was raised, and just like you said with your sons, the way I'm raising my son as well. And the same things. I mean, like, we're not shooting to be average, dude. Like, you're gonna get it. And got a funny story. One of my son's teachers, she happened to send, just a email about something to my wife. And, within like 15 or 20 minutes, I was at the school, and like, hey, no, you don't have to come to the classroom. I'll send them to you.
Right.
That's it. Well, Josh, what about you, man? What are some things that you saw growing up that you think helped you guys?
Yeah, so to shed some light on some of the things Clement's saying is our dad's Nigerian, so notorious for education and not taking anything less than an A. He said C. You got to bring a C home? I don't remember that.
No.
It was just always having so a demand for academic excellence was one thing. And so that was huge. That was really big. And like you said, it was always present because of proximity. And then we had those observation classes in school, as I'm sure you remember, Chip. We never knew when he was in there watching us. And then every now and then he'd get a little light tap on the door and he'd be right there like this.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, so the academic excellence, and then also, to building some integrity that you never know when he's watching. And so back to home, my mom, she took care of the house. We ate fresh cooked food daily. She made sure all of our homework was done and it was done right. And a big thing that she taught was if you do it right the first time, you don't have to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I took. So I from that I picked up an extreme attention to detail. My penmanship, my presentation, everything is. I don't go without ironing my clothes. Dan or Lalu. I don't go without ironing my clothes. Or again, my penmanship, my presentation, everything has to be on point because that's what I gleaned from my mom is that she instilled those things: cleanliness, organization. Dan or Lalu. Just a few things that that stick with me. And it was just because she didn't play. If we didn't wash the dishes correctly, well, probably all the dishes were coming out the cabinet.
Yeah, do it again. Do it right.
Yeah. You could only erase on your homework so many times before you had to ball that piece of paper up and start all over. So it was a pursuit of perfection, and it's something I can appreciate now because I don't even use pencil to write. I can use pen because I'm confident in what I put to paper. I feel confident in what I present to the public. So academic excellence and then the structure and organization and attention to detail. And then one last thing is with my dad, never saw him take a day off of work. And I didn't realize until I'm in it myself. And people are like, you need to take a break. You need to take a break. And I'm just like, I'm going. I don't know anything else because my example was you get up, you go to work every day.
Period.
Now he's got, I don't know how much of vacation time saved up, years of vacation time saved up, and he can do what he wants. And that's good and bad, but that's something big that I picked up. And it was just, you get up, you go to work every day, even on vacation. Like I'm finding something to do, something where I can be productive. And so what my mom said to us is you should never look back at the day and not be able to say something that you've accomplished, something that you've done.
I like it. What about you, Lou?
All right, so the way I look at it, I try because I built my leadership philosophy in the Marine Corps actually based upon what my parents taught us, which is pretty cool. So the first thing, and I try to keep it really simple because that's how I think, right? So A, B, C, D. The first one was always seek to inspire. And that's one thing we talk about, setting an example. That's the main thing that our parents did for us, and that's what Josh was just alluding to. They always set the example because I heard somebody say more is caught than taught. And, I mean, no matter what they would have said to us, if my mom said, hey, this is how, I expect a woman to be treated, but every time we open the door for her, she just walked through and twist her head or something weird, then obviously I wouldn't open the door for her, be a gentleman today. If my dad said, he always used to say, well, if you don't work, you don't eat. Well, if he didn't work, then how would that look? What kind of example would be set? So the first thing was just that inspirational leadership, just setting an example for us. The second one was being patient. Believe it or not, it takes an enormous amount of patience dealing with Joshua, Daniel, and Clement. I mean, I can remember a story that my mom was telling where she said, hey, Joshua, this is an S. Joshua, what letter is this? M. Joshua, this is an S. What letter is this? L. So, I mean, 22. How old are you? You're 22 years old, whatever. It doesn't matter. So what I'm saying is that you just have to be patient. A lot of times we pray for patience and then children pop up. That is no coincidence. The third one is care. You have to genuinely care for them, for your children. And our parents definitely did genuinely care for us. They were there. My mom, I mean, oh my goodness, chasing us around. I mean, 4 of us chasing us around the woods to play, playing basketball all over the place in Louisiana because we went to a small school. So you know how it is, Chip. You go to a small school, you bounce all over those little rinky-dink towns to play basketball. My mom's right behind us in her vehicle, just following us, and just genuine care, just caring about listening to us, hearing what we say. Even to this day, if I have a problem, or even if I don't have a problem, if I don't hear from my dad in a day or two, he's gonna text me and say, hey stranger, does my son still have this number? Because he's always looking, he's always care. He has a genuine care and concern for us. And then the last one, and this is something that we have. I'm not even gonna get too deep into it, but discipline. A lot of times we don't like to think about that discipline because for some reason I'm not gonna dive too deep into it, but discipline is what carries you. It's what really makes us successful. Like,
statute of limitations is cool.
Hey, I understand. I know what you mean, brother.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm working with a lot of teenagers now. I got 18, 19-year-olds, even 28-year-olds. They have no discipline at all, and it's weird because they bounce from thing to thing, and they come to the Marine Corps and they even try to quit, and they're just going from place to place, starting things, not finishing things. That's because they have no discipline, and our parents ensured that they instilled discipline into us. Whether their methods are what we agree with or not, hey, they instilled the discipline. I mean, I can tell you, Clement probably had one of the worst things ever. But I can guarantee you, Clement will never ever leave before a basketball game again.
He learned, huh?
Yeah, he learned.
He learned
not. It's certain things that you don't do. So those are things they just instilled into us. So those are four points that I like to make.
Okay, and what about you?
Lala, you didn't. I realized you didn't share one of the most memorable stories that we all have about your discipline. So I'll share it. Mr. Olalu, and Joshua kind of alluded to this. Olalu and poor Dan, they came along during my parents' latter years. They were a little older. They were a little bit more lax, or so they thought. So Mr. Olalu here didn't used to like to make his bed. And my mother also demanded perfection when she folded clothing. It was a thing of beauty. Like, she would fold clothes like you would see in the department store by hand. It's weird. It was, I think it's borderline OCD.
Yeah.
And so Mr. Olalu here would go and ball his clothes up that she has labored over all day and throw them in his drawer. Would dry from the wall. But on this particular day, this gentleman decided that he wasn't going to make his bed, which he did often. He often did not make his bed. So my mother went into his room and said, "Oh, you don't want to make your bed? I guess you don't need it," and flipped the mattress on the floor at his feet. It's funny. We laugh about it now. Every time we go to visit, the boy's bed is made up to perfection. And I think she kind of helped carve out his career path into the armed services because now his house is like immaculately clean.
Yeah.
He irons his clothing sometimes. His bed is made up. I visited him several times, and all the beds are made up. The house is clean. I'm like, I guess all this paid off. I said, I thought she was crazy at the time because I watched her flip his bed over. I watched her dump his drawers out. And I said, I guess it paid off because I visited all my brothers, and I don't see clothes laying around. I don't see their beds unmade. I said, oh, I guess all that craziness paid off. But Olalu didn't share that fun story with the world, and he should. He should probably write a book.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't think about that. When you were in boot camp, and now look at you.
Captain in the Marines.
I didn't know how much time we had. I know we don't have all dates because I have a lot of stories. I can go down the list, but we don't have that much time.
Chip, this happens often where it's my turn to talk, and somehow it never gets to my turn to talk. So I'm gonna cut everybody off, and I'm gonna give my spiel. All right.
So after the pulling out the secrets and telling on each other, we finally had some time for my guy Dan, the young, and he said he's like, Chip, they always do this to me. They always cut me off and don't give me time to talk. So my man Dan, you're up, man. What are some things that you saw in your household that has truly helped you be the person that you are today?
Sure. First thing is I saw a lot of persistence from my mom. Mm-hmm. She tried 6 times and finally got it right the last time.
Boy. That's good.
You wrote that joke like 3 years ago.
Nah, I just thought about that one. That was a good one. I'm gonna use that one from now on.
Man, that is good.
No, but on a more serious note, I was wondering why nobody had said the discipline piece at first, but for real, discipline was the main thing growing up. I learned a lot what not to do from my siblings. just being the youngest, I mean, I think that naturally happens. They taught me a lot what to do. Um, I go in reverse order. Alala was more hands-on. Here's what you got to do. Joshua was more like the philosopher, Aristotle type. You know, every time I had to learn something, Joshua wanted to lecture me for some reason. And Clement was more of the, ironically, Clement was more of like the drill sergeant himself. You know what I mean? Clement would come, we would come home after school, we would watch BET when we weren't supposed to. But in the meantime, Clement would be like, hey, go clean this up, clean up the bathroom. Dan, how did you clean up the bathroom and it still looks and smells like this? I'm like, man, what is this dude talking about? But so discipline for me happened from my dad, my mom, all the way down, which leads me to my next point of respect. I had to learn respect. Growing up in a Nigerian home, any Nigerian home, I think you probably better learn some type of respect. But both my parents really honed in on that respect. I remember one time, I must have been in elementary, and I came home and said, well, man, they aren't my parents. They aren't my mom. They aren't my dad, talking about my teachers. And my dad said, boy, when you're at school, they are your parents. I had to go think about that one for a couple of days. I'm like, man, what does that mean? But what he was saying is that you respect. You say yes, ma'am. You say yes, sir. You say no, ma'am, no, sir. And you respect your elders. You respect those that are in authority. Most times with minimal talk back, with minimal anything, unless it's yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Which I really, really, really do appreciate. And even now, people are like, you don't have to call me ma'am. You don't have to call me sir. Yeah, I do, because I don't know where my dad is, like Joshua was saying. I don't know if he's listening right now. I don't know if my mom is
right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. So yeah, that I think those are like two of the biggest things amongst what all my brothers have already said. And then just really reiterating that we're family. You know, we really, there's no time for us to be beefing with one another, because we are family. And Josh said he was the glue or whatever he called. I think that was more so my mom. She definitely would tell us that we got to stay together. We have to do. We can't argue. We don't have time to argue over menial things and things that have no type of substance, no type of anything that's relevant to our lives, to our careers. And so she helped us stay focused on what we need to do, how we need to do it, and how we need to do it together. And the last thing, which I think was alluded to, is the support and the sacrifices that my parents gave. I remember when I first learned how much my dad made. It was during I was filling out FAFSA for school. And of course, I had to get his information, which he was still reluctant to tell me for some reason. But once I found out, I'm like, I'd start doing the math. I'm like, man, hold on. Because I know good and well we had to shop at Payless for some reason. And we had to make a lot of sacrifices, which on the outside, a lot of people called our family perfect. And to this day, we are not, 23 years later, we're still not perfect. And people still want to think that our families are perfect. And that's not the case. But what that taught me is that everything in life isn't based off of tangible items. That's not what life is about. And then I've heard stories about how much my parents sacrificed career-wise, even some of their money, their resources, their time. And it's like, man, they did that for us. They didn't have to. I meet people all the time who didn't have that. And just the fact that we had that growing up and still have those sacrifices that they make is really, really encouraging. And so I think those things have helped us become who we are as individuals, as men, as success stories.
That's awesome, man. Greatly stated, Dan. I know, we had to wait a while to hear you say it, and I'm trying to help you out here, man. Big brothers, I'm trying to help you out, baby boy.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I thought Dan was going to mention. I thought he was about to say that he was the glue that held us together, and I was going to correct him and let him know that you're more like the sap on the outside of the cheese. Though you are sticky, you're not the glue that holds the tree together.
But it was greatly stated though, Dan, man. Just the things and how you put it together. I think it's awesome. Couple things on your deal. I think it's awesome when you can be the youngest one and you have, just like you said, like, dad, mom, you go down a list of people that just great people that you get to see in your household, like, oh, that's how I need to be, that you learn from. I think it's awesome. And then the other thing, and I'm sure you guys, and it wasn't my house. I didn't really know that we were without, until I went out and saw other things, because we were so rich in love.
Right.
And just hearing your story, I'm thinking it's the exact same for you guys. You didn't know, like, well, maybe, then you go see, oh wow. But I'd take that any day.
Right.
Just the experiences that I've been blessed and fortunate to have, the love in the house, the appreciation for the sacrifices, the discipline, those tough things that you learn when you're younger. Like you say, you don't realize it, dad, like, he's like, man, this dude is mean. Like, what is he doing? But, it helps make you be, doctor, captain. It helps you, it helps get you, to where you have to be. And so I just think that you guys are truly blessed to have had amazing upbringing. And I think it's awesome. Again, like I said when I started, man, I said amazing like 10 times.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say it again. It's amazing. But I don't think we talked about what it is that I know when I interviewed Doc, we talked about what your dad does.
Mm-hmm.
So if one of you guys don't mind kind of telling, because that's pretty cool too.
So our dad has been a professor in the College of Education. I'm 31, so it's been, I think, 28 years that he's been at Grambling State. And Dan kind of alluded to one of the sacrifices that he made. I wish I could remember the name of the school he was at in Detroit, Michigan. But that's where we actually were for the first 2 years of my life, I do believe. 3 years, because we moved here in 1990. But he sacrificed his career because he didn't want to see his children in the streets. Because Detroit at the time, it was bad and it was getting worse. And so he said, we need to move to an area. Took a huge pay cut, and as some people say, may have committed career suicide. But he wanted to make sure that we were not in the streets. And who knows, we might have been, because there's always those influencers that come in and out of your life, and if you're not strong in yourself, then you're easily influenced. But he's been a professor in the College of Education. He's helped a lot of people complete their dissertations. That's actually how I got into grad school, is because one of his students that he graduated is over the diversity program at the University of Arkansas. So he's impacted a lot of people's lives. Just from, hey, we're sitting up till 2:00 in the morning, we're going to get your dissertation done so you can graduate. And that's one thing that I've heard from a lot of his students. They're like, he is hard, he is mean, but he cares about us. We can tell, because at the time they're like, man, your dad is mean, we don't want to take his class. But each and every one of them that I've talked to since then have said, man, he's one of the few professors that really cared about us, that really cared about our education, really cared about us graduating. And he's a genuine person that really will go above and beyond to make sure that they were getting the education that they needed and make sure that they graduated on time. And I think that's why he preached not only is he Nigerian, he's also a professor, which is what, I think two of the main reasons he pushed education so hard is because it's deep in his core. That's what he came here for. That's what he came from Nigeria to America for, is to pursue education. So, it's kind of like, how dare you not take it seriously when, we had to fight to get here. We had to really sacrifice a lot. His father passed while he was pursuing his doctorate degree. So it's like, how dare you not take education seriously when so many people have sacrificed so much for you to get where you are.
That's it.
Yep.
Again, guys, I truly appreciate you taking the time to interview with me and talk the topic. And I just, to the parents, When y'all see this, I think, I just want to make sure that I say it, that it's truly amazing job that you've done, and want to just commend you for the sacrifices that you've made, because that's what I say to my parents too, just so appreciative of the way that they raised us. And we can't say I love you and I appreciate you enough to those people, man, because they've truly made us great folks. And it all comes from them. And so that's where it all starts. So thank you guys. And thank you guys for watching this episode. And we'll see you next time. God bless.
Thanks, Chip.
Oh, Chip, something I forgot to tell you is my dad always talks about perseverance. And the first thing he tells us all the time, when life gives you lemon, with no S, you make lemonade. So it's something that sticks out of my mind. He will never stop saying that. He said he used to say it when we were little, but I'm pretty sure he just started saying that when we all got older.
That's accurate.
And it's so true, man. It's funny that you bring that up. I had an incident in college that was pretty rough for me, and I call home, and that was the exact same thing that my mom told me, and I wrote that on my locker, my football locker, so I could see it every day, but I had an S on mine though. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade, man, and that's good stuff.
I am kind of shocked that none of them mentioned. They talked about discipline, but they failed to mention that we're all musicians, and the way we got started was because we kind of didn't have a choice. It was, my dad's been a minister forever, also, so it was, hey, anytime there's a program, y'all better participate. And if we decided we're gonna sit in that audience, we'll get the glare from hell from the pulpit. And he's like, you better get your butt up here and do something. So we all picked up music. And it's kind of just stuck, to this day. You can't, if the four of us get in the room and you got some instruments laying around, you better guarantee they're gonna get played. But that's because he, instilled that in us. Hey, you don't just go to church just to go to church. You go there to participate and give of your talents. And I tell people, I don't, I'm not the shout around, dance around the church type of guy. I said, I'm not the carry the offering tray type of guy. I said, my way of giving back and giving in the service and participating and praising is through music. And that's, that's all I know. So I can't go to a church if the music's not on point, because that's something that's just been instilled in me. That's my part. That's what we can give back when we're in church or anywhere else where there's music to be played.
Yeah, I think that's a trait too. Again, just like all of the things that we've talked about, I think that's a trait that carries over to your life.
Mm-hmm.
When my mom, boy, you gonna give service. Like my mother and my grandmother, they were ministers of music in all of the churches that we've been in. So I feel you gonna give service. You gonna sing in the choir. You gonna usher with an R, usher, right? But you gonna sing in the choir, boy. You gonna usher, And so I chose to be a usher, but yes, giving service that carries over to your life, and it's an infectious thing, contagious, infectious.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things, like he mentioned that, like it's so many things like we could never really get to that that we carry through to every day. I think probably a big, like even teamwork. The fact, like in a household that big, I mean, you can either decide to play as a team, or, I mean,
you don't have a choice. You go play as a team.
You have to, man, and you learn that, like Dan said, like with conflict, like we don't really have time to fight and stuff like that. I mean, of course we go through, that's part of being on a team. Like you're gonna fight at times, but at the end of the day, we all got each other's back. As my dad would say, you do not fight your brother. My mom told us the same thing. Like brothers, you don't fight. Like and it's so real. Like like I get what they were saying. Yes, you don't fight, but we're gonna fight. But at the end of the day, we got each other's back. At the beginning of the day, we got each other's back, and we have each other's best interest. And really looking at that, that's a big part of the conflict resolution, is that I know that this person has my best interest, I know that we're probably saying the same thing, just in a different way. And I mean, we all work in environments where whether it's on a job or wherever, and with our own families, that teamwork is really important, and that's something
gotta have.
That was instilled early on, and going to church religiously and the discipline from that in that regard. We didn't miss church services.
Yeah,
like we earned extra points or something. Like
bonus points. Church bonus points.
Yeah,
hey, let me warn you, man. Like if parents and I still believe, hey, y'all might want to ease up on talking like your dad, man. You might still get it, okay? And hey, I'm gonna just say this, Dad. Okay, when you watch, hey, I wasn't involved. Oh man. It's good stuff.
Well, since everybody else said one more thing, I'm gonna say one more thing. We're all members of the we are all members of the greatest fraternity in the world, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. 3 generations strong now, from my dad to us 4, and now our oldest nephew is now a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. So I just want to throw that in there just in case anybody was wondering.
There you go. Well, guys, again, thank y'all so much. I truly enjoyed it, man. I don't know. It's just awesome. We need to do it again sometime.
Definitely.
Yes,
Round 2.
All right. Go get it.